hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
And the car restarts up and go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome to Goat Talk Live.
I don't know. I get a little tired of hearing, right?
The 99 is terrible. Here, I'm lacking for some reason. It's real white and flabby.
WTF. What are we doing?
Eddie, I tell everybody who'll listen that we're a really big deal.
Continues to grow and grow and grow.
Well, welcome everybody to Goat Talk Live here. I'm Eddie Smith, your host. This is Patrick Drabick, the main man, as I just started calling him. First time I've ever called him that. And here is Goat Talk Live. Thank y'all so much for joining us, everybody for watching, everybody in ATYL Media land. We're glad to have y'all. So got the new studio smell, new channel, new season, a lot of new stuff happening. Pat, how you feeling tonight, brother?
Well, I just got called the main man, so, you know, we've got an exciting guest here tonight. I'm getting compliments right out the gate. You know, I don't think my new year gets much better than this right here, but I'm excited to be here. Go Talk Live has been awesome, and to launch it on Above the Yellow Line Media has been incredible. So I'm excited for tonight. So let's get rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and our new title sponsor, this is Goat Talk Live, presented by Save22. So thank you guys for coming on board. Really cool to have such a great sponsor on board, along with all the other sponsors that Goat Locker has. And of course, John Moser is going to be on the show on the 22nd. So he was already on with Taylor, who I meant to wait to say her name until we announced, but you saw it on the thumbnail. Y'all know she was going to be on here. But I also want to thank Glove Station for being a part of Goat Locker Racing, new sponsors. So really, really happy to have those folks on board. But tonight's guest is a motorsports media powerhouse. She has worked with many drivers and teams on PR, marketing, and social media strategies, and has probably interviewed your favorite driver during her work with Racing America and her successful podcast on Above the Yellow Line. She has appeared on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and other media outlets. The founder and head honcho of ATYL Media herself, Taylor Kitchens. Yay!
Oh, what a good intro. Love that. Thank you.
I'm a little jealous. That was better than my intro.
How about that? Now we roll out the red carpet here on Goat Talk. So
I guess so.
Oh, I love it.
Well, Taylor, we're glad to have you, and thank you so much publicly for allowing us to be a part of your thing that you have worked so hard to build. Hopefully, we don't tear it down. This could be the first and last episode. We just don't know. A lot of things can go wrong here, but we definitely appreciate you letting us be a part of it. And thanks for joining us tonight. You've got a busy schedule, and you took an hour out of your time to spend it with us, and that's we appreciate that. So, how you doing tonight, Taylor?
I'm doing good. No, when you say busy schedule, I've been up since like 7, and I'm probably not going to stop working until like midnight tonight. So it's crazy, but like nowhere else I'd rather be right now than spending time with you guys. I appreciate all you guys do. Love the show, and I'm so excited to have it on ATYL Media.
Awesome. Well, it's been exciting. There's been a lot of changes going on here at Goat Locker, but let's talk a little bit about ATYL Media. Of course, we know about Above the Yellow Line, and I think you had just I just kind of did a little bit of research. You recently moved to North Carolina. Is that right?
Yeah, my goodness. It was the move that I never thought would happen, but did back in July of 2024. And I've loved it here. I mean, it feels close enough to home where I'm from in Ohio to where I'm comfortable here, but I mean, it's right in the heart of everything racing. So constantly going to the race shops to interview your favorite drivers after the race weekends and just doing some really fun stories. And of course, my work with Racing America that, we're expanding upon a little bit this year, going to be doing some more interviews and things like that has got me really busy. But it's been the greatest thing I think I've ever done is making this move and just kind of following the passion. Truly.
Well, I'm gonna pump the brakes on the momentum, and if you don't mind, refresh that VMix page with your camera. It's a little bit desynced. Sorry, guys. We'll work this out. We want it to be just right.
I'm telling you, new show, new year.
Let's see. Is that better?
Perfect. Yeah. And I might periodically have to tell you to do that. I don't know. I'll find the right software before too long. But anyway, so let's talk about a little bit how you got into all this. I mean, obviously you are a machine. That's what Jamie Perkins calls you. And so far it's been true. You are a monster right now. How hard you're working. We just talked about it. You got up 7 o'clock in the morning. You'll stay up super late getting a bunch of stuff done. So let's take it back. How did it all start? What made you want to be a motorsports reporter or in motorsports or anything like that?
Well, I didn't grow up watching NASCAR or motorsports. I didn't know about it until I watched the Cars movies. And I was like, oh, motorsports are a thing. That's pretty cool. But what got me into it, and she's actually, I believe, in the chat right now, is my grandma. She has been a fan since like the early 2000s. And she would always watch the races during the race weekends. And it would be like, if the races are on, you don't touch the remote. We're watching NASCAR and that's it. And eventually, when I was 16, I finally decided to just like watch a race with her and figure it out, see if I liked it or not. And I was instantly very intrigued. I played sports growing up, tennis, I fenced, I did soccer, basketball, like everything. And just nothing was quite like motorsports. So I instantly fell in love with it. And then I went to my first race with my grandparents and my siblings in 2017, and I was hooked. And at that point, I knew I wanted to be in the sport in some way, shape, or form. Didn't know how that worked. And then I kind of connected my love of storytelling with motorsports and was like, oh, motorsports journalism, that makes sense. And that many years later, here we are. So I think it ended up working out pretty well.
Yeah, well, it's really awesome. I mean, you see the fire, smell the smoke, and that's a NASCAR fan for life. So, hey, shout out to Grandma. I mean, that's what we need. We need grandmas like that putting the kids in front of or younger folks in front of NASCAR. It's igniting that love. Well, talk about your path to above the yellow line. How did you get to I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to work in motorsports. How does above the yellow line? Where does the name come from? How did that all kind of get started?
Oh, created above the line at a time in my life when I needed connection with people. I came down with a mysterious chronic illness. I didn't have diagnosed until 2020. That caused me to like leave school. I lost a lot of community, a lot of friends, and I couldn't do anything. I was diagnosed officially in 2020 with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. It's a really weird chronic illness that messes with like your blood pressure, heart rate, and all these things. And it got to a point where I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't stand without about passing out. And I couldn't do anything with my life. And by the time I got my diagnosis and I kind of got a treatment plan for myself, there's no cure for POTS, but there's ways to manage it. I was like, okay, like I'm ready to kind of just like get back into the world, find my people, like, and just kind of build back. And for me, my passion and what kind of kept me going was watching those NASCAR races during the race weekend, commenting with people on Twitter. And so I was like, I kind of want to make a show to just talk with people about motorsports and just not even thinking that would get me anywhere. It was more so I just want to talk with people and enjoy the sport that we love. And so I sat at my kitchen table one night in like the beginning of January of 2021. My dad was in the kitchen, like either cleaning dishes or making food. And I'm just like trying to riff names with him of the show. I'm like, this show's already existing. There's this show, but like, I don't like the name of it. And then he goes, well, because I mentioned like below the yellow line. I'm like, that's already a show. He goes, well, what about like something like above the yellow line? Like it's more positive. You want to be more positive, not like below, but above. So my dad actually came up with the name above the yellow line. So the below the yellow line, I just thought that was too negative. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to do it. And he came up with above. And I'm like, all right. So that's obviously the show and what we built ATYL Media off of. So
Mhm.
it came from just a conversation at a kitchen table, really.
Wow, that's awesome. It's so cool to be able to watch all of the ATYL media sort of take off. All these shows that are coming in this year. If you don't mind, talk a little bit about the new shows that are coming in. I know you talked about it on your show, but our audience
Mhm.
may not know about it.
Oh
And
yeah.
honestly, they're worth a watch for sure. If you're, a lot of times people watch things that they're involved with, but I think your shows are incredible. Like if you're a NASCAR fan, racing fan, you've got F1, IndyCar, you've got all kinds of different motorsports shows starting up.
Yeah, I think that the key with ATYL Media and the reason why I started it is there are so many wonderful content creators that I've been able to work with in the motorsports space that we're looking just to elevate themselves a little bit more, have better opportunities, and collaborate. The media space can be a little cutthroat. Journalistic space is
Mhm.
definitely cutthroat. And I wanted to create a space where you didn't have to truly just feel like you were constantly like on guard. I wanted to create a space where we could all truly work together, build something really cool. And I'm so excited to bring in everyone I've been able to bring in, including you guys, to just see what we can do with this. And so, yeah, we have so many new shows. We have about 10 content creators we're working with this year and always expanding. But yeah, we have Track Limits with John DeRugeris. It's our Formula One show. He's so knowledgeable about the
Mhm.
data, the statistics, the teams, and everything. So his
Mhm.
show comes out every Monday. We have a motorsports history show with Ben Branscombe, one of the ATYL OG members, and he's going to be talking about all motorsports history and bringing in other content creators from outside our network to collaborate with them and help them. We have an IndyCar short show, 4 Laps, with Alex Anderson, who's going to be talking about IndyCar in a really exciting way. We have a short track show called On Tour with Buddy Pooley. Splash and Dash. It's our morning NASCAR show on Tuesdays for those who maybe can't watch our like night
Hmm.
streams that we do, but
Mhm.
some people who want to just, talk some NASCAR in the morning. Of course, Big Duke's virtual race hub, Big Duke Racing in your guys' series
Mhm.
at Go
Yeah,
Locker Racing, and he'll have his own show. We have Goat Talk. The Johnny Roberts
yeah,
from Speed Channel and
Mhm. Yeah.
Sirius XM NASCAR Radio coming in, and of course, Collector's Corner, which is our diecast show. If you guys can't tell, I love diecast.
Mhm.
So we
yeah.
had to create a show around it, but there's so much exciting content that we have going on this year and that we're bringing to the table. And when all these shows truly start to roll out as the racing season begins, you're going to see content multiple times a day. So this is the one-stop shop for all of your motorsports news and just fun content.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been fun. I've watched a couple shows, especially as we got to like Goat Locker kind of integrated all this in. Trying to just to catch up. It was things that I've missed, and I think shows are really entertaining. I've enjoyed the diecast talk. That's been really cool. So that's always been really neat to go back and watch what everybody's collection and stuff is. But so I mean, you also have done some on screen reporting and stuff. Is that right?
Yes. So through my work with Racing America, they've got me in front of the camera and holding the mic and interviewing like Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher. Even too, when I'm at the track, I'm behind the camera, but I've got my phone up on my microphone, like kind of by the drivers, and I'm interviewing like a Kyle Busch, a Kyle Larson, things
Mhm.
like that. And what was cool about this all is I originally was working with Toby Christie from TobyChristie.com, and
Mhm.
that was like the best experience ever professionally. And I truly think of them as family at this point. And they ended up connecting with Racing America through a partnership. And with that connection, Racing America kind of brought me in. As soon as I moved down here, they were like, let's see what you can do. So it got me in front of the camera, and it's been like the coolest working relationship. And excited to announce more about that in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. But it'll be cool. But yeah, just being able to use my degree in
Mhm.
journalism, like,
Mhm.
and have the work feel like it paid off, the degree feel like it was worth
Yeah.
it, to be able to do these reports and bring people cool stories has been awesome.
Well, I love stories of people knowing what they want and going and getting it. I think that's really cool, and that just seems like what you've done. But I do have a question about reporting and stuff. That first time in
Oh,
front of a camera, I've always kind of thought about how easy it seems, but the first time you're staring into the abyss of a camera, what's that like? Is that a surreal experience? Is it easy to get over? Did it come naturally to you?
so I think what helped me is before I even went into a journalism degree, I started above the yellow line and I had like the on-camera
Hmm.
podcast. I had no
Yeah.
clue what camera presence was. I didn't know. I used to do like theater in high school and in middle school and stuff like that. So at least I had some sort of like, stage presence type
Hmm.
aspect of things. But when it comes to just like you're in a studio or you're in a room and the camera's on and everyone's watching you, all the lights are on you and you're holding the microphone, it's a little intense and you're gonna mess up multiple times, and that's okay. But when a show's live though, you gotta just roll with the punches. And I think what a lot of fans don't realize, I mean, podcasts aside, but like live on air reporting or just on air reporting, period, is very hard. It's very easy to mess up. It's very easy to say the wrong thing. And just give those people grace. Their jobs are harder than it looks. But it is terrifying at first when you're kind of first learning the ropes and looking into the camera and you just feel like everyone's staring at you. But it gets easier over time and you learn a lot in the process too.
Yeah, I mean, I took public speaking online, so I would be a man. Well, another thing, I know you have a couple interviews coming up, which I'm excited about. Can I say what they are, or I'll let you say what they are? That way, I don't give anything away because I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
I will say one interview that we have coming up.
Okay.
Of course, we know Parker Kligerman's going to be racing in the Rolex 24.
That's the one I wanted to talk about. Okay, good.
Yeah. So we know and love him from the Xfinity series. And of course, he's not going to be pursuing that full time anymore. But we are going to have him do an interview with us on the 14th. It'll be, I believe, aired before our live stream on the 14th for ATYL Live. So I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah, I would love to. He's going to be driving the Lambo, which is probably the Lambo and the Audi are my favorite because they're V10s, and I love the sound of it. So I love to hear that. Now, the Mustang is where my heart lies, the new Mustang, but I'm excited for that interview. He's an iRacer too, so that's a cool. I've known him for a while just based on iRacing alone, so that's really cool. So excited for that. That's going to be fun, huh? Question that I had about that is when you're preparing for an interview like that, how much prep goes into making, because it feels like you have just a small amount of time. You've got to bang, bang, bang right through the questions and get them in. How much prep goes into something like that, being prepared, to interview a driver like that?
A lot. And I think too, for something like the Rolex 24, when you really want to make sure you know your stuff, you got to take a lot of time to interview. And typically how my interview prep works, if I know I have a huge interview, like let's say I'm interviewing like Richard Petty, for instance, I'm going to spend a week preparing for that interview, especially if it's a sit down, because I want to make sure I have the story right, that we're covering, have all the facts right, etc. With something like this, I'm still going to spend plenty of time on it as well. But I typically spend a few hours, in total, going through kind of his statistics, the history of kind of the team he's going to be running with. I go through their social media feeds to see if there's any just like pieces of interest that they might have mentioned on social media that they didn't mention in like traditional media posts or like an article or something like that, to see if I can have any extra tidbits or highlights for them that another outlet might not have covered. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So if a driver did a recent podcast, I'll listen to that, see what they shared, insight. If there was a question that kind of piqued my interest, but there was another question to add to the question that wasn't asked, I'm going to ask that. So I really do my due diligence and I'll listen to podcasts. I'll read so many things to make sure that I am prepared coming into an interview with these drivers, even if it's, a driver that's running late models right now and they don't have a lot to their story. Like I'm still going to spend probably not a lot more time, but a lot more time digging for information.
Yep.
So I'm not asking the basic questions of like, just, I don't know. There's some basic questions that I feel like can be asked to drivers a lot of the time. And I want to be a little different, but there is prep that goes into it for sure. And even too, like you think about sports broadcasters and how much time that they put into their prep during the week. And that's something, when I went to college, I learned all about that prep work, and my peers helped me with that and learn that. So it's a process. It really is.
Well, it seems like it might be a little bit easier these days to interview drivers because thinking about back in the day trying to interview Tony Stewart, I think it would be a nightmare. I'd be sweating going, okay, I better make sure these questions are right. Like it seems like these guys are maybe a little bit younger, so they're maybe more open to questions, or maybe a little bit more PR trained. I don't know. So seems like
kind of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's nice about social media now is these drivers can kind of write their own narratives. They can post whenever they want. They can post opinions and you can follow up with it. And back then it was, all right, well, we don't really have social media. So I'm going off of like this one report that maybe I can't watch back. Maybe I can, or I'm relying on one story from some random reporter in like Minnesota, for instance, to give me a fact. And then I have to check it, but maybe it's not right. There's so much there's so many more ways to fact check what you're going to ask, what you're going to say, what you write about now than there was back then, which makes it easier, but you also have to really sort through all the information too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's really cool to hear the process. I'm a process guy. I like to know all the nuts and bolts about everything. Like if I watch a sport, I won't watch a sport unless I know everything. Like I'm not watching football unless I know what an A gap is. I'm not watching NASCAR if I don't know how everything works. So I love the process. I love hearing somebody, especially as passionate as you are about this. I love to hear that process and how much work you put into it. And I think that's it's so awesome to hear. So appreciate you telling us that. But getting ready for the racing season to start, are you excited? Are you nervous? Do you feel overwhelmed with all the stuff you have to do to get ready for it? Or do you find it just, are you able to balance that, or are you able to have fun with it? Do you get overwhelmed? What's the feeling as a season's getting started? You're kind of cranking into high gear.
Yeah, and I don't like to say I have an unpopular opinion, but I have an honest opinion with it. I love this sport. I want to be working in it if I didn't love it. But as the season ramps up, I get anxious. I really
Hmm.
do. Like,
Hmm.
because I'm like, oh man, like all my weekends, I guess, are gone. My
Yeah.
time with family is gone. My time to maybe sleep in a little bit is gone. As someone with a chronic illness, it's very important to rest. And with this season being
Yeah.
having no big breaks, only one during Easter, but the truck series is racing that day, so it doesn't really matter. Like it's really hard work, and for those journalists that are able to travel to every single race, and even to the crew, the team, the drivers, you're exhausted. And at the end of the season this year, with how busy it was news wise, I got so burnt out. And for me, going into this season, it's how do I calm myself down a little bit, like don't stress about things too much that don't need to have that stress, but
Mm.
remembering the fun of why am I here, why am I enjoying this, and something that I did this off season, besides working way too much on ATYL Media and things like that, was just watching just fun race clips on YouTube of like
Hmm.
the best finishes ever in NASCAR history, or watching some old races like NASCAR classics and things like that. And I found myself just like standing up on my couch and just like clapping. And I'm like, this race was like 20 years ago, but I got super excited again. And I'm like, that's what I want to remember when I get into this season and I get burnt out. That's the feeling that I had as a fan.
Mm.
You can have it working in the sport, but you just have to de-stress a little bit. So there's some anxiety, but there is also excitement too. With the new season comes new stories, new rising stars, new people to highlight, and that's really, really cool. And something that I'm hoping to allow myself to do this year is to kind of step away a little bit more from the breaking news aspect of things. Of course, we're going to cover that here on ATYL Media and Above the Yellow Line, obviously, but I want to dive into more personal stories you're not going to get from a press release or from a social media post. Like the human aspect of the sport, I think, is missed a lot, and that's something I hope to really dive into this year to kind of give us a unique angle for our coverage.
Cool. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's kind of really, really cool. And we've been connected for a little while, Taylor. So I'm going to jump in
Yeah.
here. And you know what I think is kind of crazy
What?
is it was a year ago, if you remember, that we were interviewed on your podcast when we were
Yes.
nothing. And we sat there and talked. I had a fun conversation with Jamie the other day about this. And, as we're putting this whole thing together, I said, Taylor's going to be on the very first show. And then I started looking back at a couple things. And I was like, wow, it was a year ago we were on her show. And then I made a wild, I'm going to say, prediction for Goat Locker. And I said we were going to do 6 veteran sim rigs this year. We hadn't even done one of them yet. And when I was talking to Jamie about that whole thing, he's like, I don't know if you were just throwing stuff out there or you really thought it was going to happen, but we did. We made it happen. So
Yes.
um, I think it's so cool to be connected again this way. And I know you've seen us along the journey. So you've talked about, some of the different shows that you have coming on and how you've been connected to us and everything like that. What has been kind of your take on Goat Locker Racing and what we're doing?
Oh my God. I mean, when we connected first back in
Mhm.
January, I was blown away by your mission and what you guys were doing. And my whole thing was like, I've never heard of somebody just like having like almost like sim racing therapy to help, veterans, first responders, and even to other groups. Like I never had heard of that. And that was so unique to me. And it, touched my heart. I have family members that have served. My great grandpa served in World War II. He was in Battle of the Bulge. Like I have friends that have family that served. One of my friends, Dom, who's on ATYL Live, his brothers serve. So, you know, your mission was really close to my heart, and the fact that you donate sim rigs to these veterans and give them an outlet to, you know, throw their energy into and give them community is huge. And seeing your guys' growth this past year has been incredible. And I'm excited that we've reconnected here to have your show on ATYL Media and talk about your mission and talk about the series and have fun. I mean, I love listening to the show. I do on a weekly basis, and it's just really fun to hear the stories. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what Goat Locker Racing is doing and where you guys are going. I won't say anything more with that, but like I'm excited about it, knowing some of what I know.
Well, we're excited to learn from you and you know, kind of continue the path and that Goat Locker's been doing, and we appreciate all your help and all that kind of stuff. But you know, talking about where we're going, let's show a little bit, if y'all are good with it. Let's show a little bit about where Goat Locker has been. Just a short clip, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about it. This was just a few weeks ago, as we got the final. Patrick and Jamie Perkins, which is a name you'll hear a lot, gave out the final sim rig of 2024. Let's check it out.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is a nice rainy December morning. We're getting ready to head up to Fort Wayne, Indiana to deliver another sim rig here in the Goat Locker Racing truck. This one's going to Brian. He's an Army veteran with multiple combat tours overseas. But we're going to hit the road here shortly, deliver this sim rig. So we'll see you here in a little while.
So what an awesome trip here today. We went up to Fort Wayne, Indiana to deliver that sim rig to Brian. And it was awesome to meet him, his family, get everything delivered, and then head back down the road here to Indianapolis. Thanks to Jamie Perkins for coming along as well, who's been an integral part in all of this. But so many sponsors to thank this year and everything that we've done. Thanks to the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. InVets, you guys are amazing. You know, helping us identify these veterans so we can get this equipment in front of them. And then SimMotion and Next Level Racing, you know, and Alexander PCs and all the people that make these sim rigs come together. And of course, iRacing. iRacing does amazing things for us. So we ended 2024 with a veteran sim rig, and we're getting ready to kick off 2025. Everybody have a great New Year's Eve. Hopefully have a great celebration with family and friends. Be on the lookout. Spring season starts for Goat Locker Racing on January 13th. Thanks, and we'll see you in 2025.
Pretty nice video. That's something we haven't talked about yet. Pat, you did a great job of doing the videos. And then Taylor, you've actually been putting together videos of all the things you do for yourself. You know, you've been doing stuff for Goat Locker, making different highlight reels, doing all the sim rig giveaway videos. So we want to say thank you for that. Huge shout out. You do a great job. They're always really cool, and we definitely appreciate that. And that's another one right there. So Pat, this would be the time that let's talk to anybody that might not know what Goat Locker is. There's always a lot of questions. First off, let's start with the name. Goat Locker. What the heck is Goat Locker, and what does that have to do with sim race, and what does that have to do with giving veterans sim rigs? What the heck is that?
Yeah, I get that question quite often. Or I'm in a meeting and it's like the question that doesn't get asked, and you know they want to ask the question. You know, so I end up kind of lobbing it up there a little bit because I'm like, I know you're curious. Do we actually have farm animals? You know, are we running some sort of fight ring? You know, and we put them in lockers and see which goat comes out, you know, and wins. It's none of those things. No goats have been harmed in any of our racing or deliveries or any of those types of things, at least not to my knowledge. So the term itself, so I'm a retired senior chief. I spent 24 years in the Navy. We are commonly referred to as goats. So Jamie Barkus, the co-founder of Goat Locker Racing, who's also been my friend and brother for almost 30 years, he's a retired chief. So I'm going to have to give everybody a quick history lesson. So let's go back to the sailing days of the Navy. And if you think about those days, they would have to bring everything aboard the vessel for the crew. That includes, you know, any type of supplies they would need, food, water, you know, all those types of things. And I think everybody's heard of the term drink like a sailor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody shake their head. Okay, there we go. That came from those days as well, because that was you can't really store dairy aboard those vessels because it would go bad. Believe it or not, you can't really store water because water will go bad if it's stored in wooden barrels. But what keeps really good in wooden barrels?
Goats.
No. No goats
No,
were
no, no, no.
harmed. I gave that disclaimer already, Eddie. No goats were harmed.
Oh, okay.
All right. Back on track.
I'm
here.
tracking.
But rum does. And so every sailor got their daily rations of rum, and that's where the whole saying "drink like a sailor" came from. So if you think about livestock, well, you can't bring cattle aboard, you can't bring any large livestock aboard, but goats you can. They're easy to care for, they'll eat almost anything, and they're actually very, very versatile. You can get the milk, you can make cheese from the milk. If you slaughter the animals, you get the meat. So I guess some goats were harmed at some point in time. I didn't do it, so can't blame me. But over time, like the junior enlisted folks would steal the milk and things like that. So they wanted to protect them, to make sure that they would be there for the entire sailing trip and things along those lines. So your senior enlisted folks, your E7s, E8s, and E9s, they put the goats in with them to protect them. So the junior enlisted couldn't mess with them, couldn't steal the milk, those types of things. And that became known as a goat locker. And so that term carried through all the way through today's Navy. So a goat locker, you will find one aboard any naval vessel, any Navy station. It is a place where chiefs, senior chiefs, and master chiefs go to meet. Junior enlisted are not allowed in there. Officers are not allowed in there unless they're invited. And it's just a place that we have that belongs to us. And since me and Jamie are a couple old goats, we said when we were forming our iRacing league, which really is what this whole thing started out as, we said it's got to be Goat Locker Racing because that's who we are.
Yeah, I love it, and here we are. Many years later, it feels like it's been a lot of years, a lot of work done by you guys, and over $20,000 given away to veterans for all different types of reasons. We kind of throw around the everybody loves terms and phrases and stuff, and diversion therapy is sort of that phrase that kind of gets thrown around. It's a real thing of, hey, let's just offer a place for veterans who can come and hang out, have a good time, be in a, I hate to use the word safe space, but I think we all know what we mean is, hey, let's it's like if you played football, you're used to a football locker room. You can't take a football locker room to your job, whatever. So it's nice, just being frank, it's nice to be able to kind of come in and talk shop with other veterans, have a community of doing something that you love. If you love motorsports, iRacing is it's a long, it's been around forever now, it feels like. And, it's just a great opportunity for vets to come in, hang out, do some racing, have that competitive, those competitive juices kind of flow. And it's such an awesome, and it's an honor to be a part of it, honestly. So that's what Goat Locker is, if you don't know, if you're going back and watching that, and Pat here, along with Jamie and many others, Jamie Perkins and so many folks who have made Goat Locker possible. But we saw that with I don't want to butcher this name. I've tried to practice it, and I'm not prepared, so I'm bailing out of. Yeah, I'm bailing out. But that was a Brian Froheiger, and I think it might be Frauheiger. I'm not real sure, but we do our best with the names here. We'll actually talk a little bit about him. He is the vet spotlight of this month. And that's one thing that I love that Goat Locker does is sort of throw out some vet spotlights every month where they spotlight one of the vets in the league. And of course, Brian is the first one. He served in the U.S. Army from 2001 to 2013. He deployed in Iraq in support of OEF/OIF with the 1st Battalion, 293rd Infantry Regiment. As a 50 cal turret gunner, he provided convoy security and is assigned AOR, and we're proud to have Brian here at GLR. So cool. He is the veteran spotlight of this month, and he was the recipient of that sim rig, the final one of 2024. Pat, talk to me about that delivery. You got any cool stories or something from there?
I've always got a cool story, and I always tell people too, if you really want to understand what Goat Locker Racing is, jump in the truck with me one time and go deliver one of these rigs. It's a pretty powerful experience. But yeah, I mean, we showed up. I mean, it was a 2.5-hour drive to get up there. So New Year's Eve, I spent about 5.5 hours on the road with Jamie Perkins, which don't ever do. Just don't do it. It's not a whole lot of fun. But he buys lunch, so I drug him along anyway. And to meet Brian, it's always, and Taylor could probably attest to this too. I mean, you see people on social media, they send you a picture, they send you a little bit of a biography, whatever the case is. and you kind of get to know them, but when you see them in person, it's a whole different thing. And so here's this big burly man with this, I mean, gorgeous beard. I can say that, right? I mean,
That's
it,
okay. Yeah.
It's
it was pretty
2024.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Like, if you
2025 actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you could put a ponytail in your beard, I mean, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I think I can't do that. I think I'd look pretty ridiculous, as a matter of fact. But we won't ever find out. I digress from there. But I got to meet him. You know, I got to meet his wife, his daughter. His daughter actually drew me this cool little picture and all this other stuff. I know the story you want me to tell, Eddie. I'm going to get to it. I can see the look on your face. So we're all sitting there, right? We're all sitting there. And you know, there's a bird cage over there in the corner, right? And people have birds. You know, my mom had a cockatoo or whatever the heck that thing was. Drove me absolutely insane. By the way, that's a different story for a different.
Birds
time.
are nightmares. They really are.
Oh,
like it just,
I could.
they're
well,
menaces.
She also had a little dachshund, so the dachshund would bark and the bird would chirp, and it was just this nightmare show. And I just wanted to choke both of them out. But that's not what we're talking about here today. So there's a bird cage over in the corner. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, his daughter's running around. She's drawing pictures on learning about the dragons she got for Christmas. It was awesome. She's 8 or 9 years old. I mean, just the cutest little thing. And then Brian gets up, goes over to the cage, and brings out a chicken. Like, he's got a chicken. Not like a big rooster or any of those types of things, but it's a chicken. It's like their pet. People have pets, you know, and chickens and all this other. That was the last thing I expected to come out of that cage.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a chicken. And I was like, okay. So we're just sitting at the table. It's me, you know, Jamie Perkins. It's his wife. It's Brian, this big burly man with this big burly beard, and he's just petting a chicken. I'm like, this is where we're at today.
Yeah.
That's incredible, though. I love that. Oh my gosh.
It was awesome. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And Brian does a lot of woodworking and everything too, and he was so gracious. You know, when me and Jamie were getting ready to leave, he made a couple of. I'm gonna mess this all up. I'm not a wood connoisseur. I think they're walnut charcuterie boards. They were absolutely gorgeous. He gave both me and Jamie one of those. Just extremely grateful, and it was awesome. I got to meet his son as well, and it was just such a cool. They're all cool experiences. Yeah. That one would just happen to have a long drive attached to it. But you know, when I delivered it to Josh Unger, you know, when I went down to Bloomington and met with John Houchin, it's an incredible experience. It's a lot of fun. This was the first one I did that someone came along with me. So someone else got to experience it in person, and it was cool. It was cool, and there was a chicken. So
I mean, it's
better than that.
Honestly, you know, I figured you out. This is a really expensive way to get more league members. That's what I found out. More guys to race is a very expensive way to get.
I mean, you got to pay for talent, right?
Hey, look, and it's really cool that we have a series that is sort of a landing spot. As soon as they boot the computer up, they get on Discord, they log into iRacing, which we can talk a little bit about the sim rig stuff because it is an exhaustive list of things that they get. You know, whenever they do win the sim rig, they go through InVets. The Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs is the one who, with the grant, kind of moves everything forward. So shout out to them. You got Alexander PC, and then a whole laundry list of folks who come together to make that sim rig possible. And iRacing throws in a subscription for a year, I do believe. And you got McConey Setup Shop that offers a setup package that you can jump in, have a McConey setup. Just really cool. I mean, it's just so many people that come together to make those sim rigs, and it's an awesome experience. I've seen it many times through video. I'd love to be at one at one time. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Now you guys do have a truck, and you do take your show on the road and go out to different places. You've had some. You set up a mobile sim rig that you guys have. You set it up at Nasty's Restaurant and Bar. You've gone to a couple of conventions. I don't know. I feel like I'm interviewing you, but I feel like there's a new audience trying to introduce everything just to let everybody know what Goat Locker's about. I know all the answers. So spoiler alert, I already know the answers, guys, but I'm doing this for you. This is for you. This is for the people. But so what's the idea behind taking those mobile rigs to all those places? I mean, what's the idea behind that?
We want to get the public involved. You know, one of the things when we were we stood Goat Locker Racing up as a nonprofit, and then got our 501c3 to make us a national public charity. There was always this. I guess it's the thing in the back of your head. Will people really understand what we're doing? Um, you know, and again, I've been in meetings where I will say I was called out. Aren't you guys just a bunch of guys just playing video games? And I'm like, well, I mean, you got me on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna boil it down to its very basic level, then yeah, I'm gonna own that one. We're a bunch of guys playing video games. It's much more than that, but yeah. So the idea behind having a mobile setup was one, we have a lot of great corporate sponsorship, a lot of individual donors, a lot of, grants and things along those lines. And we want to be able to celebrate those people as well. So for us to be able to pack our stuff up and go help, we were at the Future Farmers of America convention with Lincoln Tech, and Lincoln Tech has been one of our greatest supporters and biggest corporate donors to date. Not only do we want to get the public involved and let them see what we're doing and experience it and those types of things, but we want to do this for our sponsors as well. We'll be doing some things here in the spring with NVETS and the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs in downtown Indianapolis. We've got some cool events like that coming up. Heading out to Columbus, Ohio was such an absolute blast. Cruising Classics has been one of our longest standing partners. Before we were anything, Cruising Classics got behind us and sponsored us and things along those lines. I think long before we were even it was long before we were even a nonprofit. So to finally be able to take our setup, which was a full circle experience for me, to jump in a truck that is got Goat Locker graphics on it, with a mobile sim and a trailer behind me with my tent and my flags and my tablecloths and all that other, was a surreal moment for me. Because when we pulled into Cruising Classics, of course, they opened up the garage door and they let us pull into Cruising Classics, and I'm surrounded by 6-figure cars everywhere. It was surreal, but it was such a great feeling for me, because it was finally an opportunity to give back, in a different kind of way, to be there to let them experience what they have donated towards, and they had some fun with it, and some of the people that worked there had some fun with it. Their social media guy jumped on it for a little while. They had a couple customers come in and jump on it for a little while. We headed over to Nasty's and set up there for a couple days, and I mean, but yeah, I'm getting a little long-winded here because you're having me talk about Goat Locker, but that was the point. The point is to get the public involved, let people experience it, because it's cool. At the end of the day, it's just flat cool. When you could jump on a simulator, and I'm gonna put you in an Indy car at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's just cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about going all the way back to my first NASCAR game, which was NASCAR 1 in the mid-90s. I was playing on a flight stick that went forward and back. Yeah. We got from a local computer store because they didn't have things like that. And I remember hearing Ned Jarrett say, I'm Ned Jarrett, and this is Papyrus NASCAR Racing. You're like, oh, snap. And it played that little intro, and the cars are going around. You see Jeff Gordon. I was a big Jeff Gordon fan. And seeing it going, I was a kid. My eyes were wide. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And we're going around the tracks, the same ones that they race on. So it's been a long time, and iRacing, unbelievable. We were kind of, me and Cody McElwain, another Goat Locker member, we're getting ready for the 24 hours of Daytona on iRacing. 24 hours we're going to be racing, multiple guys on the same team. The car is on track for 24 hours. Hopefully. That's the plan.
You got this.
That's the plan.
It will be.
And
we've got a new team member this year, so we're going to figure out what happens. I mean, last year Goat Locker won the 24 hours of Daytona.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've got a new team member this year, and we're going to see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how good he is. We were sitting there in awe as we were practicing you're pointing the wrong way, but anyway. So we were practicing the new rain system in iRacing, and dude, we were just blown away. It was unbelievable what it's gotten to. iRacing's incredible, and for them to be sort of a partner too, noticing what you guys are doing, and obviously it's good for them because it brings them into the community, which the sim racing community is a very good one. It's a tight knit. It's not a massive scale. Sim racing is still pretty niche. as much as we'd like to think it's pretty big. It's really not. And so the community's always great, and the community does such a good job of supporting, and iRacing so good at that type of stuff. So it has come a long way. So yeah, it's just Goat Locker has just been really awesome. You guys have done a great job. Taylor is now a huge part of it. So I don't know why I'm here. I don't know. Everybody does so much more stuff. And I just sit here and I yuck it up. I'm the clown, I think. I think I'm just the clown. Have I just realized this?
No.
I just realized I'm a clown.
Well,
so
I mean, that quite possibly could be. I mean, I threw you some peanuts. I threw you a polo shirt, and you're here.
Yeah. I mean, golly, I work. Yeah. So you'll have to take me to the shows. I'll have to wear a clown mask and some hair in the nose or something. I'll be the entertainment, I guess. I don't know. But no, It's been fun to broadcast. I mean, broadcasting, what a weird thing to broadcast an iRacing race as if it's a real race. And that's been a huge thing. And that came from y'all. I mean, that all started there because of you and Jamie kind of bringing me in one time. And I said, what the heck is this all about? So such a great community. If you're not a part of Goat Locker, just because you're not a vet doesn't mean that you can't be there. Goat Locker has a great community of all types of people, all shapes and sizes, and I better not say that, but anyway, there's a lot of different type of folks in here. A lot of old guys. I'm just gonna say it. There it is. It's a lot of olds. A lot of. We need some young folks in here to liven it up. So hopefully, Above the Yellow Line Media can bring some youth in.
I don't know how I feel about that comment right there. I really don't. I think that was I took that personally.
Was that directed at Patrick?
Yeah.
Call him old. Man, Eddie.
What? What'd you say?
Calling Patrick old.
He knows it. It's not like it's a surprise. He knows it's not a big deal. But anyway, one thing we did want to talk about tonight that we'll kind of transition out of that before I get in any more trouble.
Thanks.
Is we'll talk about our sponsors, and we kind of talked about the sim rig. We kind of want to highlight some of the sponsors. We're calling it Goat Tech, and something. It was an accidental. Pat said Goat Talk wrong. He said Goat Tech by accident, and we said, that's a good idea. So each week we're going to kind of talk about some sort of tech, whether it be sim racing wheels, whatever sponsors that build the sim rig, put it together. We'll talk about some of those products and kind of go through some of those sponsors and some other things that have to do with tech. So this is the first Goat Tech of Goat Talk. So we're going to jump into it. I'm going to switch the screen here. I'm going to show Alexander PCs and kind of go through this. This is their website, and this is the computer. This is where the computer comes from. It is a custom-built computer that has Goat Locker etched actually in the case itself. So really, really cool. These guys are awesome. They do such a great job. I'm going to pull up the specs. I kind of know them off the top of my head because I'm kind of a nerd about this. But if you are looking for a good pre-built by a quality company, a lot of times it can be hard to find. Some places just don't do a great job. But look at some of these art pieces. That's what I call them. They're basically art pieces at this point. Let's take a look at the gallery real quick. And look at the art and what people have asked for and they have delivered. Alexander PCs can really do it all. This is not a paid sponsorship. I mean, we're just highlighting what we think is awesome. And I mean, look at all this. Just incredible work. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then you can see the etching here. And we have a picture of the Goat Locker. I'll get it up in a minute. But you can just see the work that they have done and they can do. If you want something simple, heck, they got something simple. They've got the Corsair 4000D, just something simple with, just the normal parts. And you can go all the way up to some water-cooled craziness here that I think is just amazing. So they have some ready-built stuff. They have financing if you want to finance your PC. You can build your own. You can custom build. They have studio systems if you're a creator. They have sponsored deals where you can have all Asus things, or you can just pre-configure your deal. So that's where the PC comes from. And the one that they got is actually, it's completely up to date. We're not talking about they're getting some second-hand deal here. They're not getting some just, something, hey, I'm throwing this PC out. Let's throw it in a sim rig. No, sir. It is the top of the line. I think the sim rig that was just given out has a 13th gen i5 processor, perfect enough for iRacing. These, iRacing is actually pretty smart about how they do things. Optimized games. You can run these on some really old equipment. All the top-notch equipment can run it too. And the 13600 is actually a really good processor. You got the 4060 Ti or 4060 NVIDIA card that's in there. You got SSD, so it's not a slouch at all. It's going to do all that you want. And if you're looking for a PC, go check out Alexander PCs, because not only does that help Alexander PCs, of course, but it also helps Goat Locker, because it shows that Alexander being a part of this, it kind of benefits them too. We want to show love for our sponsors, people who do things for Goat Locker. We want to, we want to throw those guys out there, and hey, that should be your first choice if you're wanting a PC. And they do such a great job. You can go look at the reviews. The reviews are unbelievable. A lot of really good stuff, and you can see you can get some wild stuff. So go check them out. I think they do a great job, and that PC is a beast. Seems to run pretty good there, Pat. What do you say?
Yeah, well, Alexander PCs is amazing. It's kind of strange how we came into connection with them. They're a veteran-owned company. The owner of the company, TJ, he is a Navy veteran. He is phenomenal to talk to. He's hilarious to talk to, as a matter of fact. And I don't know, me and Jamie were sitting around one day, and we were coming up with this idea to do these sim rigs, to do these giveaways. I said, man, we need to find a PC builder, a veteran PC builder. And he did some Googling or whatever, found Alexander PCs, and then we got connected with them, and the rest is history. And I said, this is what we need, this is what we're doing with it. And they said, no problem. And they went out and researched, iRacing and the requirements for it, and they put us together this special machine that we can give away. And then they do the custom touches like etching the glass and things like that, which is awesome. I know a couple of our league members have already gotten PCs from them. The PC that I utilize for iRacing, they built for me. The PC that is on the mobile sim rig, they built for us. If you don't have a PC by Alexander PCs, I think you're just wrong at this point in time. And if you use the code GOATLOCKER, you get $75 off your order.
Oh, dang.
And 50 of that comes back to Goat Locker Racing.
Hey, how about that? There you go.
There you go.
And they're based out of Chicago. They're veteran owned. They're absolutely amazing. So if you need they have some really cool, just pre-built ones, but they will custom build anything. And I tell you, Eddie, I know there's a lot of great reviews and things like that. But when I told them we needed one for this mobile sim rig, and the first time we were going to use it, it was going to be 90-something degrees outside, and we were going to be in an asphalt parking lot. They was like, ooh. I said, yeah, I need this thing built with a lot of extra cooling and can handle that kind of stuff. That thing has never skipped a beat. When we had it set up at the FFA convention, for 3 straight days, we had kids cycling on and off of that thing. That thing ran for, 10 hours a day, nonstop, iRacing, never skipped a beat.
Wow. That's awesome. And so it's cool to kind of highlight them. And like I said, if you're looking for a PC, there's no doubt about it. One thing I wanted to do, a little GOAT tips section, which we're kind of running out of time here. So we'll kind of scoot right through this. But let's say you go buy that really awesome Alexander PC and it comes in. All right. And you go hook that bad boy up, and all of a sudden you notice this is supposed to be a bad A machine, and it's not getting all the frames. It's running slow. What's going on with this thing? So I want to give you a little tip, a little thing that a lot of folks do when they get new PCs that goes wrong. And I'm going to show you real quick. So I'm a nerd, so I've got 2 PCs. And I've got one for iRacing that I use to stream the game, and then I got one for my production stuff. So this is the iRacing PC. And it's going to be kind of hard to see, but we're going to do the best we can. We'll get production value up here, but I wanted to show this. So when you get that PC, your first option is going to be to plug your monitor in this top spot right up here. Well, that's going to be the first mistake that you'll make, and that's why your computer might be running slow. So if you ever get a PC, that video card is going to be right down here somewhere. So make sure that you don't plug it in there. Now, you'd laugh, Pat, and you think, well,
I've got a really cool story about that.
You're going to say, who's done this? People are watching probably, what idiots would do this? Well, I'm going to tell you what, guys younger than me, guys who know a bunch about computers, and even Pat himself, plug it in that top spot, and you go, what the heck is going on? I thought this was supposed to be the Mamma Jamma. And then down here, put your cord, your HDMI cord, or your display, whatever goes to your monitor, make sure you put it down there. So that's my GOAT tip of the week.
That's a good one. I wish you would have told me that before I set up at the FFA convention. And I sat there for close to an hour and a half freaking out because the mobile sim wasn't running right.
Yeah.
And I'd had it set up before, and I'm like, what is going? For an hour and a half, I'm in freak out mode because they're getting ready to open up the doors and let 70,000 students in. And
Yeah.
it's just running at like 7 frames a second. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. And I'm going through everything. And yeah, and then it was just as simple as I plugged the monitor into the wrong port.
It's a mistake. It happens all the time.
Oh, I promise you it'll never happen again.
Nope.
I learned that one that day.
Taylor, are you a build your own PC type of? Are you buying it? What are you doing when you're buying PCs? I know you're not really into the sim racing just yet. We got to get you in there. We're gonna get it. We've got enough pressure now. You've got iRacing folks in here. The pressure is going to be too much, and you're gonna have to get on board with iRacing and start running. So where are you? You buy the PC at the store, or you build it yourself? What kind of person are you?
Oh man, I'm more of like a buy it at the store. I'm not a techie gal. I need something just simple, very easy. But, however, using the discount code, I mean, that's pretty promising with Alexander PCs. I gotta go that route then.
Yeah.
I gotta go that route.
I mean, there's a lot you can do with $75. I mean, that's I don't know, that's 2 or 3 stops at McDonald's. I don't know these days. Sorry, I don't know. That Southern came out. My bad. I try to keep it at bay, but it comes out every once in a while.
I mean, that's at least a dozen McRibs.
Yeah, well,
This is true.
If they're there, that's a lot of times they don't ever.
I don't think they are anymore.
Yeah, they come out. They come out like once, or it's like quarterly or something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, I've actually not built or bought a computer from a store since I was in middle school. I have built my own computers forever. I just don't. I love that part. That's where I'm a nerd. That is that's my tinkering. You got guys who tinker on cars. I tinker on computers. I love taking them apart. I like adding things to them, changing things up. I'm gonna be careful not to give out too much nerd stuff, but I care about airflow. I try to get a certain type of pressure in my case. Like it gets wild. I get super into it. I love it. I love dealing with parts, computer parts. I have forever. I had the last one that I think I never bought it. My parents bought a Gateway. Y'all remember those? Gateway pre-built family computers that sat in the living room. That only everybody didn't have their own computer. Just one that sat there. You didn't know what it does. What does it do? Nobody knew. We were just like, we just had it because you're supposed to. And I started taking that thing apart, putting stuff in. And it was all history of theirs. But I promise you, if I ever buy one, because I can't do all that crazy water cooling, and if I want something like that, I think Alexander will be where I go, because they got some really, really cool stuff. Like I said, they're art pieces at this point. All right, let's move on. Let's talk. We're running out of time, Taylor. We're not going to keep you, I promise. But we're going to talk a little bit about the season coming up, kind of give it a short version as the new season is going to start up next week, man. I can't believe it. Already gonna start back up. We've got the schedules releasing, so go check those out if you don't know which schedules. They look good, Pat. It looks like we're gonna be having some good time racing. We got a new broadcasting partner that's coming on, SRM, I believe is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Yep, and so we're excited for them. V-Speed. So we got SRM on Sunday and Wednesday, correct? No, Sunday. Sunday, right?
What? Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. That's right. And then Tuesday is going to be me. I'll be doing that one. And then Wednesday is going to be McConey. Thursday is not broadcasted, I don't believe. And then Friday on V-Speed as well. So
this is Thursday. This is Thursday.
Exactly. So we had to leave Thursday open for Goat Talk, but actually the late model series races about an hour before that. So and that's sort of a really entry level, beginner only type series, really what it's meant to be. So really excited about that one. It's been I think a pretty big hit, and it made a big splash on the intro video because they had a lot of good clips. So we're happy to have that. So excited to get this thing going. Some new sponsors. We talked about Save22. Save22 is coming on as the title sponsor for this podcast.
Yes, sir.
Cannot wait to talk to Taylor. I think you talked to him not too long ago, right?
Yeah, he was on the show Tuesday, and I love talking to John. He is such a good guy. What they do at Save22 is truly incredible, and I'm so excited for you guys to talk to him on this show. He'll have a great conversation.
Well, there's a lot of pressure because he seemed really excited to be on here. So like, there's a lot of pressure to nail that. You always hear about celebrities and they want to give the people what they want whenever they meet them. And so it's like that. I want him to have a good time. Hopefully, it lives up. So
They will.
it's gonna be good. But we're happy to have Save22 and then Glove Station coming on board for the ARCA series, which is so cool. So cool to have all these sponsors. Operation Valor is going to be sponsoring the Friday night series now instead of Veterans for Life. So just excited to have all the changes, all the new stuff. Sim Rig's going to be given out, I'm sure, all year. Going to ramp it up, and really excited to see how that how the season's going to go. Pat, trying to think of some stuff we had talked about that kind of wanted to hit before we call this one.
Well, I'm excited for the seasons to get started too. We've got very, very short off seasons. We'll call them off seasons. I mean, it was 3 weeks, and in that 3 week time frame, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. With sponsors and getting all those things lined up and getting the roster set and and getting new drivers in and getting everybody kind of settled in. So it's a cycle. At the end of a racing season, you're like, oh gosh, I can't wait for this thing to be over with. And, some people like Eddie Smith are getting on my nerves, and things along those types of lines, and then when it's over and, you bring, sigh of relief, you're like, whoo. And, for me, it's a break. My evenings aren't taken up, all the time and all those types of things. And then I get in the off season and I'm busier than I was during the season.
It's how it always is.
And I got meeting after meeting after this, after that, and I'm running around and tracking this down and tracking that down. And then, and then we decide to reinvent, the podcast too in the off season. And we was like, holy smokes, so I can't wait for the season to get kicked off. It should be a whole lot of fun. Yeah, we got some great new sponsors. Like Save22 is amazing. We'll talk a lot more about them when John's on the show and things like that. I've had some wonderful, wonderful conversations. I text John almost every day. I mean, he's just a great dude. Glove Station's awesome. We're going to be working with them, hopefully, to develop our own line of gloves. We're going to see what happens.
I like that.
We'll
stay
see what
tuned.
happens. I mean, if you got a sponsor called Glove Station,
yeah,
You got to make your own gloves.
or or your own station.
yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, I'll take a fire one. A fire one will work for me.
Yeah,
I can get one of those.
Something. And we've got amazing other sponsors coming back as well. Hidden Wit Brewery, Cruising Classics and Nasties. We talked about those. InVets on Sundays is coming back. Jam Printing and Promotions, who does everything. I mean, most of us are wearing something from Jam Printing and Promotions today.
Yep.
Hey, see, and he's got the hat too. So I don't know. It's a cool experience when I get a chance to sit back and talk to and kind of slow down a little bit and talk about it. It does. It puts a big smile on my face to know where we've come from, where we're going, and just the unreal amount of support we have. It's just unreal to me. So, but yeah, racing's gonna get started. We're gonna kick off every single series at Daytona. So we should have some really happy drivers next week.
Yeah,
like they should be.
Well,
the
soapbox has been kind of dry here lately, so we got to fill it up quickly. We got to get it a queue. That's
my favorite segment.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna bring it back next week for sure, and I think we'll have plenty of stuff to bring back for that one. But a lot of cool things. We've kind of highlighted them. I kind of want to announce something that I'm doing for the ARCA series, and if you don't know about the ARCA series, we're gonna get out of here quickly. I'm not gonna stay too much longer, but the ARCA series, it does a really cool thing where it has a pro and amateur split. So you have a pro drivers that are kind of, it's a selection that says, hey, these guys are, a certain skill level. We want to separate them out. So the amateur drivers, which, are a lot of new folks. New folks are folks that just want to learn. And also a lot of your sim rig giveaway drivers kind of land in the ARCA series. They want to race some NASCAR stuff. So it's such a great series. I love this. Honestly, it's probably my favorite thing that's happened in Goat Locker in the league part of it, the racing, the series part in a while. It's just such a cool way of having, the ability for, hey, how do we solve the problem of I get beat every week by the same people? I'm just not as good. this is a great way of doing it, and y'all executed it perfectly. It went so great last season. The last couple races were exciting as we had 2 champions at the end of the year. So cool. And I'm going to kind of add my own little flavor in it this year. A little unofficial thing that we announced today, but I wanted folks to know that. We're going to do a Pro-Am championship along with the normal pro and the amateur. So like in IMSA, you have a Pro-Am division where there's a professional and an amateur on a team racing as they switch drivers. It'll be not switching drivers, but a pro driver and an amateur will pair themselves up and make a team with the idea of think driver and maybe the pro driver learning something. You know, let's reach down. You know, we're not. It's not a. I think John said this. It's not a handout. It's a hand up. I like that. And that's sort of like this is. Pro drivers reaching out to amateurs. Let's work together. Let's have a little fun championship. So if you're in the ARCA series and you're an amateur driver or you're pro, reach out to one or the other and find you a partner, somebody you may not know, so you get to know them. And y'all compete for a championship. There's $50 on the line. Mama Ellingson's giving out a T-shirt with your name on it, your team name on it, for both drivers who win. So really cool. If you're not in the ARCA series, or if you're in the ARCA series, definitely go check that out and get signed up for that. That's going to be really cool before the season starts. But outside of that, man, really excited. Thank you again, Taylor, for coming on board. We're going to end it abruptly just to get us out of here. We kind of went over time, so apologize for that. But thank you, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate y'all being active in chat. We didn't really interact with chat too much. That's my fault. But T. Jones 95, Thorin Hansen, Jacob Linke, Judy Kitchen, and then some names that I'm not going to try to pronounce: Michael McCarthy, Jeremy Garner, Adam. I'm going to just say that Adam, Charles Abert. You got Jonathan Cofield, and I see Jamie Perkins in chat. I want to thank y'all so much for being active. It really means a whole lot when you guys are chatting and talking during the podcast. We see it. I will try to make sure that I kind of acknowledge it a little bit more next time, but we appreciate y'all for being a part of it. Taylor, thank you again. I want to thank Save22 and Glove Station for their support. And again, want to say thank you again, Taylor, for your time.
Of course. No, I'm so happy to have been on the show, the debut on ATYL Media. I'm so excited to see where this goes, and I'm thankful for, again, all you guys do at Go Locker Racing. You guys are incredible, brilliant, and I'm just so excited for this year for you all.
Awesome.
It's
Well,
been awesome.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. Next week we'll come back. We're gonna nail the dismount next time. I promise you. I never really nailed the dismount. I think it should just be a thing where I just kind of awkwardly.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I'll just awkwardly end it every time. Just like, oh, well, anyway, bye. But thank everybody for watching. Anybody that goes back and watches, thank y'all so much. Above the Yell Line Media, thank y'all for everything that y'all do, and yeah, just so excited to be a part of it. But we'll see y'all next week. We'll have a lot to talk about with all the new season started, and we'll have some juicy soapbox, I'm sure. So, all right, y'all have a great night. We will see y'all next time.